Something I learned in the military, wherever you find a lack of communication, you'll always find failure.
Mm,
Always. Where there's
yeah.
no communication, whether it's to your client, through your team, anytime, it could have been an easy email,
Mhm.
right? All of a sudden, it's like, boom. And there's so many times where the client's like, oh my goodness, can you go come at this time instead of this time? Right. Or we had to make adjustments. But because we did that communication a couple days prior, we're like, yeah, sure. We'll adjust for you. Not a problem. And exactly to your point, it's professionalism, right?
Mhm.
My team and I, we do this full time. If we want to be treated like a professional, we act like professionals.
Welcome to The Right Fit. Today, we're joined by a very special guest, Joey Mack, co founder of the Mobile Cigar Lounge, the #1 cigar bar and cigar roll experience for weddings and events. Featured on Fox News, winners of the Wedding Wires Couple Choice Award, and a certified whiskey and tobacco ambassador, Joey and his team create unforgettable guest experiences through their unique cigar, whiskey, coffee, and mobile lounge offerings. So, Joey, we hear that you built this from scratch alongside some fellow veterans. So, what was the moment you realized you shared a passion, not just for the camaraderie as a veteran, but also cigars?
Yeah, I mean, it all stems. Christian, first off, thank you so much for having us. I really appreciate sharing our stories and fellow other professionals here in the industry. But the love came through just smoking cigars in the military. Like we built that camaraderie. It was one of those special moments where we smoked cigars, well, any forms of tobacco, right? At that
Okay.
time,
Yeah.
whether it was here in stateside or overseas, it was kind of like those special moments that really brought us together and make them unforgettable. So my partners and I were like, hey, let's start a business where we could capture that in different settings, right? In different milestones. So yeah, we started that business back in 2018. It's been growing since.
Wow, that's amazing. And what branch were you guys in?
So myself and Patrick, we served in the Marine Corps together.
Okay.
So
Nice.
we deployed to Mongolia, Norway, and Iraq in 08, 09. And then my other partner, Miley, him and I played rugby together and went to a private military university up in Vermont, Norwich University. And then he joined the army and he went to Afghanistan.
Wow. So, man, you guys served and now are serving others. And I mean, look at that circle. You guys are just still somewhere just in that service space for all these years.
Right.
That's amazing.
Now we drink and smoke for a living. So
Wow.
it's kind of like a nice, fun little transition that we've had.
That's amazing, and I'm just a fraction of your story, but just a beautiful part of it. And I mean, from what we see here, and I've even had the experience of seeing you at events. Your clients love what you do. Let's be honest, they love what you do. Like you said, you've been growing. Your recognition is growing, and how rewarding is it to feel or to see all that hard work being recognized at this level?
Yeah, for us, it's what we love doing. We have a standard that we love to keep. It's just based on our military training and our military experience. Like we have a set standard. We want to make every client happy, make sure their guests are happy, and that they enjoy that moment. So for us, a lot of it comes to full circle. Whether it's going through Fox and Friends, Cigar Aficionado, and those things. Working with the JC Newman family, it's been quite a blessing. And every time we smoke cigar with people that we've enjoyed, whether friends, family, or friends that become family, it's always been a joyous moment. So we like capturing those things, and we enjoy it so much.
That's so cool that it's like I mean, s- there's cigar aficionados is a thing, right? So I don't know if that would be considered like a hobby, somewhat a hobbyist realm. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know. Maybe I'm not using the right terminology. But at the end of the day, from what it sounds like, it's like you built this thing off of something that you just enjoy doing like for free. You know what I mean? Like you just enjoy doing it. And then now like you're helping others and creating memories through it. And that's great in so many ways, right? Sounds like a dream.
It truly is. It is a dream. We've been in business like we were saying, 2018. And every time I got to light up a cigar or share a dram of whiskey or bourbon with someone, it truly is like a memorable moment. And for us, being at those, especially for our clients, being there for those milestones, as we talked about, like their weddings, their golf outings, their birthdays, their celebration of life. We've been every celebration under the sun, and we always get those nice little moments. We get to share a cigar with their family, with their friends, and being part of this business is really a dream come true because we have this awesome opportunity to share these experiences with people.
Right. What do you, because I feel like people know what cigars are from a general perspective, right? Let's generalize it first. Okay, everybody knows what a cigar is, right? But now we're connecting it to milestone events, weddings, social gatherings. Maybe it's a 40th, a 50th, maybe it's a corporate event, whatever the case may be. What do you feel is something that you have to do, or maybe something that's misunderstood by people that sometimes you have to educate people on in general about this?
Yeah, that's a great question. A lot of people get like misunderstood. Like one is, a lot of places we can't smoke inside. So that's the first thing, right?
Yes, that's a
They're like,
rule, a law.
"You can smoke inside." I'm like, "Yes, I get it." But as you know, and a lot of our professionals know, New Jersey has some of the most beautiful venues with outdoor spaces. So what we like to do is we like to reimagine those spaces and utilize them to the best of their advantage for that party, for the event. So, we've teamed up with amazing venues where they have these beautiful spaces like, hey, let's reimagine this for our clients so that when they go and celebrate, they're going out with a bang. And, sometimes cigars get a bad rap a lot of the times. Sometimes they use them as like villains and things like that, or like movies or cartoons. But I think a lot of the gist of if you stem to its history and foundation, it was meant to be like a communal kind of like tribe like, we're enjoying this together next to a fire, right? When Christopher Columbus founded this and with the Native Americans, right, in the islands off, the Caribbean, this was like a spiritual thing for them. It was kind of like breathing in, using the leaves, bringing them out, and giving them back to Mother Earth. For us, it's the communal. It's that time where you get to like relax and enjoy that time together, and kind of like stop that time just for a little bit to smoke the cigar. So, we get a bad rap sometimes with the smoke and stuff like that. But you know what? With people who truly understand it really do enjoy it.
What would you say to let's call it a rookie cigar smoker, right? Let me paint the picture, right? Let's say you're at a wedding, right? The groom, not to generalize, but let's say the groom has a couple of cigar experience, so he kind of knows what to expect. But the bride that day is super happy. She's joyful. She is like, I'm gonna go for a cigar too. Is there anything that this bride who has never smoked a cigar should know?
We're
bef-
I love it because the first thing that we say is don't inhale. That's like the first thing, especially like, we usually ask like, "Hey, have you smoked cigars before?" Because usually we carry, depending on the client, we have our kind of like our shade leaf, which is nice, like a nice Connecticut shade, and then we have like a Maduro, which is a little bit darker. So when a lot of people when they come up to our table, they're asking questions, especially the bride. They're like, "Which one should I smoke?" And then we're like, "Have you smoked before?" It's like our first question, right? Have you smoked cigars before? And it's going to dictate where we're going to point you. If you've never smoked before, we're definitely gonna lean you towards the shade, which is more of a Connecticut shade, right? But after that, the second thing that we ask is we tell them, not even ask them, it's like, do not inhale. Because if you inhale, it's gonna hurt.
You're gonna feel it, especially if you're probably
Yeah,
mixing alcohol and other things.
absolutely.
You're gonna feel
Absolutely.
it.
But you know what? One of the first weddings that we did, it was a joyous moment. It was over at Crystal Springs.
Okay,
And
you have a lot of outdoor space there.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
great outdoor
yeah.
space, and it was like I think one of the groomsmen, they came outside to smoke cigar with the groom, and like it was like our during our early days of doing like weddings and stuff like that, so we're lighting him up, right? And we didn't ask if he smoked a cigar. He just looked like he was a natural. I'm sure he smoked a couple things, but he goes and his boys are in the circle, they're smoking cigars, so all of a sudden he takes a puff and inhales it and starts coughing up a lung. But all his friends started laughing, and he was like, "How the hell do you guys do this?" And they're like,
Yeah, of
"Don't inhale." He's like, "How are you supposed not to inhale?" But you know what? I think hopefully that was like a fun moment to laugh about, right? And
course.
I was very privileged to be there and to witness that because we got to share a laugh, and the guy was like coughing up a lung. He's like, "Oh, I'm not supposed to inhale." So it's those special moments and kind of thing, especially with guys or like some of your best friends, you kind of like joke around and play around playfully.
Yeah, no, and those that's part of what you're doing, right? You're there to help people create these memories that are gonna live on past the wedding or event day itself. Can you walk us briefly through like what I mean, since we're on the topic of weddings, let's call it wedding and event, whatever. Like what a day like that looks like for you on your end, right? Like give us a little BTS, little behind the scenes, right? Because I'll be honest, when you come up to me, not you specifically, when a cigar roller comes up to me to make the announcement, the cigar roller is here, I kind of miss it all. I'm already in the mix doing what I got to do. And I'm like, oh, what, all right. Hey, everybody, cigar roller is in so and so location. Don't forget to go visit their table. But like, what does before that look like for you?
Yeah, we're very fortunate. Like I've been doing this for 8 years now, and full time for almost 4 years now. So
Congrats.
like our team, we're all full time people, right? Well, especially the back, kind of like behind the scenes, behind the curtain, our office manager, our concierge team,
Wow.
they're with you. And we like to tell our clients from the first call to the last puff. Like this is not my part-time gig. We do this seriously and we take it seriously. And, when we're working with our clients, we want to let them know that like, hey, listen, we want to be with you through every moment. You're getting emails, you're getting, confirmations and making sure sometimes it could be overwhelming, but, with especially, Christian and some of the people that are listening, you know, over communicating can be a great thing because we've had some clients like, hey, I didn't get my confirmation, I didn't get this and that.
Yeah.
So we overall make sure that the client knows more than what they need to know because they
Yeah.
should have every answer for them and making sure we have that clear line of communication. So for us, we always tell the client, right? And the people that we work with, I want your last 2 hours, right? The last 2 hours means so much to us. Can we do the beginning? Can we do hors d'oeuvre, cocktail hour? Absolutely, right? But the meat and potatoes is the greatest bang for your buck is the last 2 hours,
Right.
right? And during that time, right? And most people are getting married for the first time. The day's been long. You already had dinner. You already done your speeches. You already cut the cake. Now it's time to party and to dance, to celebrate the night together, right? And that's where we tell our clients, listen, by that time, we show up 30 minutes prior, right? We're connecting with whether it's your DJ, your maitre d', we're setting up in our location. So by the time that you come outside ready to smoke, our cigar rollers there, the cigars are laid out, and we're ready to go. And the reason why I love the last 2 hours is you get dessert and also coffee and some amazing treats, right? And that goes great with a cigar.
Mm.
So during
Yeah.
that time, 2 hours, and then that's how we part out. And this could be anywhere from a wedding, a party,
Yeah.
a backyard party, a barbecue. Because in the beginning, honestly, Christian, as cigar smokers, we're not smoking when I get to your party, right?
Yeah.
We're eating, we're socializing. It's more for the end to
Yeah.
kind of like sit down, relax, and kind of like unwind the night with a cigar. So yeah.
Correct.
Hopefully that answers your question. I know it was kind of like a loaded answer, but I'm kind of just
Yeah.
walking
Yeah.
through
No, that's
of what it
good.
looks like.
Yeah, because I mean, I appreciate you even talking a little bit about the communication and that part of things because it's something that can be overlooked. But this show is also a lot for other industry professionals and entrepreneurs, right? That's the audience that we're talking to, and sometimes I think it's something that we shouldn't overlook and something that's important. So, prime example, like you said, over communicate and whatever. I have my processes in place too, where I communicate, I send emails, follow ups, reminders, so on and so forth. To some, maybe it's over the top. But I do have a lot of my clients who say, I appreciate your professionalism. I appreciate your communication. I haven't heard from XYZ vendors at all that I would love to hear from, And we're talking anything from not just, let's call it the smaller vendors, but like even the big ones, like the venues or whatever. Like, hey, we booked them. I haven't heard anything. And I've been reaching out to them. So that's a big part of the experience, right? Like from that to the last puff, like you said, that's all part of what's creating this overall experience that should not be overlooked. So I'm happy that you mentioned that.
Something I learned in the military, wherever you find a lack of communication,
Mm,
you'll always find failure.
mm,
Always. Where there's
yeah.
no communication, whether it's to your client, through your team, anytime, it could have been an easy email, right?
Hmm.
All of a sudden, it's like, boom. And there's so many times where the client's like, oh my goodness, can you come at this time instead of this time?
Yeah.
Right. Or we had to make adjustments. But because we did that communication a couple days prior, we're like, yeah, sure. We'll adjust for you. Not a problem. And exactly to your point, it's professionalism, right? I do
Hmm.
my team and I, we do this full time. If we want to be treated like a professional, we act like professionals. So yeah, absolutely.
That that's I feel like a game changer. Now, does this at all? Because I feel like as entrepreneurs, sometimes we I'm not saying you do, but in general, I hear that sometimes this is a struggle, is when charging comes into place, right? Because now you have this whole process, communication, concierge. I mean, like the experience behind you. And I'm sure there's other cigar rollers who come in for cheaper or whatever the case may be, and the consumer doesn't understand this difference either. How do you break that down to them, or like how do you differentiate yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the biggest things is education, right? A lot of people that come up to us don't smoke cigars, or they just know a thing or two. So our biggest thing is education. Yes, we're a little bit pricier than our competition, but it's nothing that I worry about because when a client goes with us, we have over 1,000 5-star reviews, and I love it because people are like, "You guys paid for it," or
Haters.
I love it.
Yeah.
When you get to that level, it's like perfect because
Yeah.
every single review I've read and I've responded to,
Wow.
like me personally.
That's amazing.
Right, because like I said, it's a privilege to have stuff like that, especially when I started off my business. It's a privilege to have these people write us letters. I have a wall downstairs in my office that we have every note that someone sent us, like, "Thank you so much." It's a privilege, right?
Wow.
So when they work with us, we tell them, "Hey, we're full time. We've been doing this for quite a while. We're not some part-time gig. Like, this is what we do actually." And the education, our partners with the Jason Newman family, it's a quality tobacco coming from Nicaragua, and it's the oldest cigar manufacturer in the United States.
Wow, fun
So
fact.
our product is quality, our
Right.
service is quality,
Mm,
right? So when you get all those things checking the boxes, you're going to pay for quality, and like I said, sometimes it's just not even we're not far off from our competition.
right.
Now, if they're going a little bit lower, I get it. I don't understand, but for us, I concentrate, what can we do for the client? That's my concentration, not my competition. It's just like,
Mm,
how can we make our company better? What can we do to improve the customer experience? How can we build some relationships with other people? So, like for me, I'm worrying about our team, right? We have a large team. Yeah, so I don't have time to worry about competition. But
yeah.
yeah, it's to each their own, right?
Yeah.
You can look at that in any business. There's a burger spot, in my town, there's so many pizza places. And anyone's got, especially in Jersey, like
Yeah.
how they deal with it. Quality, the people, the experience that they get while at that pizza place. So it just applies to every business all around.
Right. And I mean, I don't know if you face this or not as you've scaled, but I feel like sometimes where businesses struggle and scale, and this could be food or maybe cigar or anything else, even DJs, consistency, right? Because as you start to scale, the product sometimes gets diluted. How did you overcome not diluting your product and still continuing that same consistency throughout the process? Because you keep telling me you have a big team, but I'm sure you didn't always start with one.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the biggest things, right? What we learned from the military, you gotta have your SOPs, right? You gotta have your
Mm,
standard operating procedures, because
100%.
if you cannot hold someone accountable if you don't have an SOP, right? If I just send you to, and trust me, Chris, I've done it. I've sent someone to an event and they didn't do great. I mean, listen, we're talking, right? There's
It's
a cat
learning.
meeting,
Yeah.
learning curve. And never, like, we have a whole process of when you come on the team, what to expect, what our culture is, our pretty much our values as a company. Our team members know that when they come in, because when you hold them to accountability and then you're telling them all this stuff and then they don't do it, now that's on them, right? But if they do stuff that you didn't have that SOP or your standard operating procedures, that's on you. And one of the biggest quotes I've heard in the military, right, what I've learned is, you could delegate authority, but you cannot delegate responsibility. That's a huge thing, right? I could give you the authority to go to the event and represent the company, but in the end, it is my responsibility that that team member does well and that client has a great experience. Listen, we've messed up. I'm not saying that we're 100% perfect. We've messed up, and the first thing that we say is we take full 100% responsibility for what happened that day. How
Yeah.
can we make it better? You
Yeah.
know? It's just how it is, but it's what you make of it. So, yeah, so standard operating procedures, as you scale, if you don't have that in place, if your team doesn't know your culture, doesn't know your values or what you represent as a company, lack of communication, failure.
Yeah, that's so important. It's not the sexy part of business, like as
Yeah,
I call it,
it's not.
but SOPs, standard operating procedures, is fundamental for any type of growth because, like you said, how do you expect somebody to represent you if you don't even know like what your SOP is for yourself, right? Like, what's your process? What do you do? How do you from whatever it is the responsibilities. I mean, I love that you mentioned that. Once again, something that we need to talk about. But I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs, especially in our industry, even struggle with delegating. So maybe this could be something for them and saying, hey, I know you're thinking of delegating and it's not a bad idea, but maybe you should create these systems and these processes so then when you do, you don't feel like it's too much. And I appreciate your honesty and vulnerability too, because at the end of the day too, if you've been doing this long enough, like things happen. I've been DJing for like 20 years. Like things have happened. If somebody tells you that nothing's ever happened, like that's a lie. But it's how you show up, how you take ownership of it, how you respond to it. It's still that customer service experience that you can make something that maybe wasn't the best. You can make it right in your own way. So I love that you mentioned that too, because that is the reality of it, and people don't want to. We obviously with Instagram and social media and like it's all the good stuff, right? But like stuff happens too. But it's how do you learn from it? How do you avoid it from continuing to happen? I think that is the takeaway, hopefully too, for people listening.
And can I say this, right? For delegation, I know it's hard for people who've never done it before, right? If you've never delegated and set someone responsible, I get it. I hear you. But also remember that if you want to build a business, you have to delegate, right? And there's nothing wrong with being a sole entrepreneur. If someone came up to us like, listen, I want to be at every event. I just want it to be me. I want to run the things. I want to make all the money. I want to do everything. If that's your path, love you, good luck. And listen, that's what makes you happy. I cannot take that away from you. But if you're talking to like yourself, myself, who've been in the business that do X amount of events on weekly, monthly, yearly basis, and we have to build a teams, delegation has to be within your culture.
Yeah.
And having those SOPs are gonna be big. So yeah, in terms of delegation, if someone's listening, they're like, listen, I just want to be a solo entrepreneur and just do this for the rest by myself. Kudos on you. High five. Don't, this is not for you. But if you're trying to build a business with a team, delegation is a must, and SOP and culture and accountability and responsibility are a must as well.
Right. And I've even heard this, hopefully I'm phrasing it properly. It's like when you're at that level where you cannot or you don't want to delegate not one thing, it's almost like you don't have a business, you just have a job. And I mean, once again, if that's where you're happy, where you're comfortable, I'm not saying that that's a wrong thing to do, but I learned that the hard way too because I hit a moment in my life in my career running this business, so to speak, where I felt like I didn't want to do the thing anymore. The business, like I was like, I don't think that, and it wasn't like when I took a few steps back, I thought I'd lost my passion for DJing. It had nothing to do with DJing. It had to do with admin, Excel spreadsheets, and whatever it is that wasn't motivating me to continue to be creative or more present with my clients or whatever the case would be. And I'm not saying that this is for you. I'm not saying you need to find somebody to do your Excel spread, but everybody in their business will find the things that don't bring them any type of joy, motivation, creativity, so on and so forth. And so maybe those are the things to start with if you are considering delegation, where you should hand off that's not really helping you either grow or just even be motivated to do what you're doing from like a simple standpoint. Like, I was like, wait a minute, I love DJing. But I thought for a second I didn't, and it had nothing to do with it. It was the other side, the admin stuff that I was like, this is I'm drowning in it. I don't, million emails and this and that. And I'm not saying like there's some emails I still personally get back to, whatever, but there was some that it was just like, we need your COI. Do I need to be responding to every COI like message or whatever the case may be? Like it's not necessary.
So one of the key things, and I love what you're saying. I'm the same way, right? I thank God that I have a great business partner and a great office manager, Patrick and April, that handle a lot of those things. And something that can help a lot of entrepreneurs is take a list and write pen to paper. If you can't, just don't do it in your head. You're not gonna put old school pen to paper or a line down the middle and write what do I enjoy, what I don't enjoy, and just go in the left hand column. All the things I enjoy. I love the DJing. I love meeting with clients. I love doing this. I
Yeah.
hate doing the COI,
Yeah.
schedule appointments. I love doing the appointments. I hate scheduling it.
Mm.
right? And there's
Yep.
a lot of resources out there, especially with AI,
Oh, yeah.
using assistants, overseas or something to help you out. And it's relatively inexpensive or cheap to help because may- maybe for you as an like for me, the moneymaker for me is meeting other people and connecting and
Yeah.
doing the events and building rapport. Right?
Absolutely.
My partner, at the same time, he loves building the processes, loves doing it. So I'm very happy we have a yin and yang. And he doesn't want to do. He could do the networking, but he prefers to send me out. He's like, "You're the most jolly guy."
Yeah,
Right?
you're the social butterfly.
Yeah, I'm a social butterfly, right? So that's where you can find. So if anyone that's listening, line down the paper. Left side, what do you enjoy? What don't you enjoy? And whether you could do it now or later,
Yeah,
you know, at least you have a plan, right?
correct. I love that. It's such a, let's call it, easy, like it's not going to cost you any money to just make this list that Joey's talking about, like line down the middle of the paper, old school. You don't, sometimes people like you buy the app or you get the soft, thinking it's going to just start with the pen to paper, line down the middle. I love that. Like, what do I enjoy? What don't I enjoy? And then whenever you're ready to get to that point, you can absolutely delegate. So you mentioned something that I personally sometimes struggle with, which is, I guess you could say I'm also more of the social butterfly or or a face on social media these days and things like that. So in turn, that is great for spreading the word, but at the same time, then everybody wants said person specifically. And so has that at all been any a presence in your business or a struggle where it's like, hey, I cannot physically be at every single event as much as I would love to. I got to send somebody else on my team who's going to be great too. I know I would love to be there. I just can't physically be everywhere,
Yeah, it's one that's a struggle sometimes for us too. They're like, "I want Panda," right? They see me as Panda.
Yeah,
If I'm available, yeah, absolutely, but
of
if
course.
not, I got a lot of family. I mean, listen, we like for May, we did close to 100 events, it's a
Wild.
lot. And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
for was it June? Yeah, June. We have quite a lot as well. So being all over the place, and I have to balance work, balance. Speaking of balance, trying to spin the dishes of like my work, my life, my personal life.
Yeah,
It is a lot. So yeah, it's a struggle, but then you gotta have that confidence to be like, yeah, I'm sending someone and that's what we hire for too. Like there are people that work for us are like they're an extension
mm,
of who we represent, right?
yeah,
So they gotta be charismatic, they gotta be fun, they gotta be knowledgeable. And a lot of our clients that say thank you. I love seeing our team members' name. They're like, oh, I had so much fun with so and so. I had a
great.
great time with them. So that helps, shout out to Dominic who does our hiring and our training for our team. That's a testament to his work and what he does with our team. But
Right.
solely, those processes what we talked in place, like, hey Dom, when you work with them, this is what you have to do to make sure that they're ready to do it, to live up to our expectations and our standards.
Yeah, that's great. And I mean, as whoever is listening to this, if you want to scale, then I think another hard lesson that you have to learn as an entrepreneur, and correct me if I'm wrong, Joey. I once heard, I can't remember exactly who I heard it say, but another popular entrepreneur, it's almost kind of like his advice was hire quickly, but fire faster.
100.
Because it was, I think the takeaway was that not everybody's going to fit that culture. You've been talking a lot about culture, standards, all these things. So sometimes you also have to realize that they might be a good person or they might be great on paper or they might have set skills, but then not everybody's going to meet that culture. And I've been guilty of that where I've kept people around too long that you see the red flags where you're just like, yeah, you're trying to save the world, trying to fix everybody. Like, no, but we could do it. And then, I think it just comes with maturity as well. But what do you feel about that?
I preach it, hire slow, fire fast. But to me, especially during our growing years, it was rough, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes family, it's rough. But then when you're a business, I work with a bunch of I volunteer for like this program called CEO Circle that we work with veteran entrepreneurs, and we're also giving advice at the same time. It's like, oh man, I gotta give the advice to myself because I have my social butterfly. Like I hope
Mhm.
everything works out.
Yeah.
And then my business side's like, dude, you're drowning right now.
Yeah.
You need to do this quickly so that you can be fast. And every time we've done it, something's changed in our business and we go through a new direction, we've done great. It's very hard. Trust me, it is hard. I've been there where people talk about their business partners to family members to friends. It's hard, but at the end of the day, it is your business, and it pays the bills. Yeah, it's hire slow, fire fast. And it is an easy thing to look at.
Right.
Concept is, especially when you're growing, and I get it. You're
Yeah.
growing, you're trying to do it. It's such a hard thing, but yeah, you'll always, if you have that mindset, you'll get over it.
For sure. And I mean, from what it sounds like, you guys have like a designated person for this hiring process, which is great because somebody can focus a little bit more of their attention on that versus maybe you're in a creative networking role and all these other things. So your headspace is, can only be doing so much where you can kind of uh, dial in on, okay, is this person going to be a right fit or not? I mean, you have probably your gut feeling and these other things that I'm sure are very valuable, but having a person designated for that, I probably has changed a lot for you guys as well, which I'm happy that you guys have even created that. So I wanted to switch gears real quick. I know you guys obviously offer a lot of the cigar rolling services, but I also did see in our research that you guys do stuff with whiskey and coffee. And with that said, obviously that could be a different experience, but I'm also curious how that even plays a role in some of these venues that maybe don't always allow outside alcohol or drinks. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the first things is like, especially as a business owner, what can I do? Like the center is the cigars, right? And I start drawing lines of like, what do I like doing while doing cigars, right? Having food is great, but I don't want to have a catering service and plus the laws and regulations are like, nah, that's fine.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And then whiskey and cigars, I mean, whiskey, cigars, coffee, we offer those experiences because some venues do not, right? And like a barnyard style wedding where they have a blank canvas and you gotta bring it in. We like to offer it because it's while we're there, coffee and cigars, especially how we do it, like a Cuban style, where we do a little cafecito with a Toro Fuente coffee, Dominican coffee, really delicious. With a cigar, whiskey,
I could smell
bourbon
it.
with cigar, exactly.
Yeah,
So for obvious reasons, if the venue has those things already readily available, absolutely, go with them, especially because of liquor licenses and liquor laws.
right.
Boom. But if the client has a blank canvas, they're doing a backyard party or something like that, we recommend them like, hey, have these bourbons, have these scotches, and then our team will help serve it for you, right? And then we do it neat, and we get to talk about it, and we know those specialties, whether it's Highland, Lowland Scotch, or is it kind of like a rye or a different type of grain, type of bourbon? We want to serve it so they don't have to do it at the party. Because we've been at parties, like I don't want to be behind the grill while the party's going on. Like I want to enjoy the party,
Yeah,
right? I have friends and family there. I don't want to be the guy that's pouring and whatever or doing everyone's cigar. So we help alleviate that and give clients the time to relax, enjoy the party. So there's that time component that we're giving our clients too, where, hey, listen, for example, you're in my business. Can they have an iPad and just attach to the speakers, right? And just have music playing?
right,
They can.
right.
Can they just have a box of cigars with a cutter and lighter on a table? You can absolutely do it.
True, true.
If you
Yes.
want the quality, the
Mhm.
professionalism, don't have to worry about like, "Oh, the speakers are not connecting," or, "Does
Right.
anyone have a mic? Who has a mic?" Or
Yeah,
the mic things, or do you want a professional to do it? Because why? It gives time for our clients to really enjoy the party and not have to worry about those things. Like,
I
being in
love that.
business 25 years, bro, you've probably had seen a lot of things out of this. There's not a lot of things that could probably, like, surprise you.
Yeah, I'm not phased easily anymore.
Yeah, but you're giving the client the opportunity to enjoy their celebration. Same
Right.
with us,
I
right?
I I love that angle. It's something I feel like we people don't talk about as much, but sometimes I haven't done it in a while. Like I've even put it in perspective. I said you can go to Guitar Center and rent DJ gear. Legit. You can go rent it.
Yeah,
Pay for it, but then you got to go pick it up, you got to set it up, you got to worry about who's going to run it. Yeah. So once you start breaking it down like that, like how you're doing it, people are like, "Oh, I don't want to do that." Like that's
yeah,
awful. Like you said, you're not going to be enjoying your own event.
yeah. Hey, you could have Uncle Bob take pictures because he does it, right? This is a shout out to our photographers and videographers that really grind out there, right?
Yeah.
You can have Uncle Bob do it.
Yeah.
But guess what? You're not gonna get quality, and, the famous line, "You get what you pay for," is so huge in our industry, and I get it, some people kind of, like, are starting out
Mm,
and stuff like that, and they're trying to get their name in the game, and they're trying to kind of, like, build their name. I get that, but in the end, you get what you pay for,
mm.
right? You can have an iPad with a little speaker, a little, like, boom, or you could have the full setup, full getup. When people are like, "I just want, like, cigars and blah, blah, blah. I want box cigars, cut or lighter." Okay, great, but you know what happens? A lot of people go up to the cigars and they don't know, like, "Oh, how do we do this?" Especially if they're not cigar smokers.
Right.
"Oh, does anyone there's just matches, no one to light it," right? So
There's even intricacies of how to light the thing, how to cut it, there's different types of cuts, and I'm just sharing some of my amateur knowledge. I'm not a
no, you're good, man, you're doing good.
professional, but
We'll hire you, bro.
I
You know
have smoked cigars. I've had some good ones. I've had some bad ones. I remember even for my bachelor party, I went to Canada, so there's different laws out there, so you get a little bit different of a selection, and
absolutely.
but there's
Yes.
levels to it, right? And
Yeah,
so you're there to help them, to educate them, not just to go to, I don't know, a smoke shop and just buy some
yeah,
random cigars that are stale. You know what I mean? Like, is this thing even like? Sometimes people don't know. You
yeah.
don't know what you don't know.
Listen, you get what you pay for. Listen, if that's what you wanna do and you want to and you want to have cigars, but you don't have the budget or whatever, so be it, but like I said, there's different types of experiences and remembers and memories and stuff like that, so,
Right.
yeah,
And I think
well,
it's
it
so
can go
important.
either way, but you get
Yeah.
what you pay for.
Yeah, and I think it's so important. I feel like sometimes people demonize, the weddings and milestone events because they're like, oh, as soon as you hear, it's a wedding, it's a sweet 16, like, you hear like everybody just doubles or triples the prices, and I'm like, I don't wouldn't go too fast on that one because it's a whole different process, it's a whole different experience, it's a whole different hand holding when you're even communicating with clients. There's just a lot more work behind some of these events that people don't see. They just see like even the day of service is actually along a lot, but let's call it just the build that we were talking about before about your processes. So I think people should keep that in mind when making that investment. I
Can I tell you
want to,
something? 'Cause we've gotten that a lot, like, people are hesitant to tell us it's a wedding,
yeah,
and we always tell them, "Listen, our prices are the same whether you're having a wedding or a backyard party."
yeah,
Right? The only thing that's different, if we do have to travel, then
yeah,
obviously the travel.
hmm,
But if you're here in the state of New Jersey, whether you're having, your boys coming over to celebrate your 40th birthday, or you're having a huge wedding over at the Legacy Castle, Corona Farms, there's a lot of great venues out there. We
yeah,
still give the same thing. But, like, I know it's to each their own. For us as a company, we everything's all the same, but I do see that hesitation where they're like I'm like, "Well, hey, what kind of event is it?" And I go, "Don't worry, we have the same pricing for both, but we wanna interact with them because if it's a couple, we wanna be like, 'Oh, congratulations.' If it's their
absolutely
birthday, I'm like, 'Oh, this is a surprise,' like, right?"
correct. Yes,
Yeah, we always let our clients know, like, "Yeah, don't worry, it's the
same price, same price. Don't You don't have
same."
to lie to me, and then I show up. I'm gonna find
Yeah,
out anyway.
exactly. I'm like, "What's this wedding going?"
Yeah, like what the?
Yeah,
Is a
yeah.
birthday girl in a wedding dress? Like what's happening?
Exactly.
We saw that in, I think it was 2022, you guys launched your own nonprofit that is dedicated to supporting, the well-being of like other military members, first responders, families, let's call it charity work. So like how did this organization come about? I mean, because I love that. It's something that I'm not saying I want to build a nonprofit, but something that I've been just trying to be more mindful of, even just do a few give back events a year if I can, try to set like a quota of like, hey, I wanna do a few, work with the community.
Listen, man, part volunteering has been part of my life, my mom growing up, she worked a lot, she worked in hospice, she was a nurse, right, Filipino nurse, you could have guessed that.
What? No way! I don't know,
Easy.
like, any Filipino nurse. My
Oh, no,
wife works in a hospital, like,
yeah,
a lot
it
of her
worked in the
besties are
hospital.
Filipino.
Exactly. But, watching her, our culture is kind of like the same way. Like giving back is a big thing in my life. I volunteer a lot to different organizations. I'm giving like four things, right? I call it my time, my treasure, my talent, and also my testimony, right? Of those different things. Yeah, we started Patriots to Leaf. We have an amazing board. We have events, happening, meetings happening every month, events happening quarterly. And basically it's celebrating, the foundational of we smoke cigars, but we share the same kind of like journey, right? Whether it's a first responder or a veteran or even a military connected, a family member, right? Or even a supporter. We all come to this foundation that we enjoy and love cigars, and we find out we have more in common than anything else. So it's super fun. We've taken guys and gals and their family members. We've taken them paintballing. We just did a hot dog tour around New Jersey. We have the Spanish Tavern that's coming up where we could, the owner is a huge supporter, lets us smoke outside his patio while enjoying great Spanish food. I mean, I love that, right?
Nice.
We've been to like Fogo de Chao. They let us
Ooh,
outside and we had to smoke cigars. And we're
that's
like,
a Brazilian steakhouse, right?
yes, sir. I mean,
Okay.
listen, but to eat a good steak, good company, have a couple of drinks and smoke cigar, I mean, pull my leg. You don't have to sell me on that. But that's what we do. We do mostly of like we want to create a space for people to come enjoy, to relax, and do it under a cigar. And we've had many organizations like the Metropolitan Society that like gives us their space. A lot of the smoke shops, right, all around New Jersey that gives us a space to hang out. We come in like a Monday, Tuesday, so we won't interrupt their flow on Friday, Saturdays. And they give us a space for us to smoke cigars and we buy some stuff. So it's kind of like a nice relationship. But yeah, our board's amazing. It's led by, retired and active, police officers and first responders. Super, super great crew. So we're super happy about it.
That's amazing, and I'm sure it feels good too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm going to like next week, the Spanish Tavern, putting up by the team in Central Jersey. Food, relax. I'm donating. I'm like, it's all going to a great cause. And, they invite, police officers or first responders in that town to come in
Yeah.
and join us so they could understand, like, hey, listen, this is what we do. And we just want to build that camaraderie together. So, yeah,
Where is that at? A Spanish Tavern, where?
it's in Mountainside
Okay,
off
okay.
22.
Route 22 in Mountainside. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
Route 22 in Mountainside. Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, packed house, like, it's already, I would do a shot like, "Hey, buy tickets," but, like, it's already packed, but, Christian, if you wanna come, dude,
I'll be like I'm like 20 minutes from Mountainside, yeah, that's a
reach out to me. I would love to have you so you can kind of see it firsthand what we do. Just get ready to smoke cigars and blow your lungs out, and you
it's been a minute.
all for a good cause,
I better
right?
go apply for that life insurance ASAP.
I know, I had to renew mine too, so kinda
The
rough.
tobacco check.
Yeah, yeah.
No, but I love that it's not just a transactional business in the sense of, just saying I'm going to do this for profit, but I'm also going to do this with your mission, your values, and also figure out a way to connect with the community. And I think that's a beautiful thing. And like I said, something that I personally have been trying to do more of, whether it's through my music services or even if it's like donating a photo booth or whatever it is, something that I could do to give back for so many good causes that are out there and that need our support, right? Or need our guidance or leadership. And you've brought up military a lot in your building of this, your connecting through your partners and all this. So clearly it's been a huge foundation for where you are today. But for a young entrepreneur starting out, right? Maybe in your business or maybe in a similar business who maybe is not in the military or has never been in the military, maybe hasn't had that discipline or that, Joey was on the call super early today. I'm like, typical military guy. My best friend was in the military too. And he's always early. He's always like, if you're on time, you're late, right? And Joey was like, he was waiting in the waiting room right early. My assistant was like, Joey's in the wait. I'm like, typical military guy. Anyway, but let's say didn't grow up with that and all that. What's a big piece of advice that maybe you had to learn the hard way? Or that maybe once again all this military experience has given you that maybe you can share with somebody else who's just an entrepreneur trying to build something and just needs a foundation of like, how do I even get this thing going?
First thing that comes to mind, find a mentor.
I
Find
love
'em.
that.
For me, and I'm going to do the military and how this could help entrepreneurs that don't have that military side of it. When I first came into the Marine Corps, I just looked up to guys and gal. Yeah, I think the military is such a great fast track for leadership, right? Because you can see leaders all over the place, good ones, bad ones, right?
This is true.
Or ones that need to get worked on, right?
Yeah, yeah,
There's Marines that they tell me to go through the door, guns are blazing, I'm in.
yeah.
People, I wouldn't go.
Yeah.
I get to what the great thing was is I get to kind of learn and build my leadership style through it. It's all through mentoring, right? I always had when I was a young lance corporal, I had a corporal or sergeant that I just hugely looked up to, and they were a wealth of knowledge, right? Especially the time frame where I served when people were going off to war and stuff like that. So I looked
Yeah.
up to them, and they were very knowledgeable. Right? For a young entrepreneur who doesn't have military experience, there's a lot of great programs, free programs out there for both sides, like minority based, women based, African American based, Asian based, Caucasian based, where you could just go into their group and you would start feeding and getting fed by entrepreneurs and seasoned entrepreneurs.
Wow.
So, the biggest thing that I would say is that comes to mind is find a mentor, right? They're going to save you time and money because they've probably, especially if it's a good mentor, they've probably done it and they can help guide you or help
Yeah.
guide you through that stuff. So 100% find a mentor. I think when I first started off my business, I reached out to a couple business owners who were military and I just asked them questions. I actually reached out to a good friend of mine. His name's Rich. He owns the shout out to him over in North Arlington. That was my first cigar emporium, my first like home cigar shop.
Okay.
I'm just asking him questions, and he's basically kind of like helping me out, but also building his, I guess, competition. But like, if you don't ask, you don't receive, right? And
Mm.
I think number two is if I do this as a two-parter, one, find a mentor. Two, always be a student and continue to ask questions.
Ooh.
I'm always
Yes.
asking questions, right? I know in school back then it's like, oh, put your hand down. You don't need to ask. As an adult, especially for business, I ask a crap ton of questions
Yes.
about different businesses, about different things and how they do things, and I learn from it. So, two things, whether you're military or not military, that you can do. And the great thing about Google, find a mentor and also always be a student. Always learn from something or someone. Read a book, YouTube, watching this podcast. Like I'm sure there's a couple nuggets here that someone
Yes.
can do, right?
No, those are great ones, and some things that once again maybe seem obvious to us who've been, in the ups and downs of the business world, but somebody newer may not know. Once again, a starting point. But I think the other part of it, just as I'm talking to you, and you mentioned your background being Filipino, and like your mom's a nurse, and I'm Colombian, and I grew up. We came to this. I'm first generation in this country. Go to school. Like we're not. I don't know about you. I wasn't really taught the entrepreneurship route. I didn't even know the word entrepreneur till I was maybe in my 20s. I'm being vulnerable here for a second, and I mean, and I went to school. I have a master's degree, but like some of these things were just outside of my world. I didn't know what running a business was, what entrepreneur was, and or any of that because I was like this: go to school, do this and that, and that was my life. So I didn't know where to start. So I made a lot of mistakes.
Yeah, you know what? I felt through the same way, and like I said, shout out to our parents that came to this country and that worked hard to give us these opportunities. But yeah, I could see why they're like Mijo, you have to go to school, you have to go, you have to do these things,
Right.
right?
Right.
You have to go to college, you gotta have a master's degree, you gotta work for somebody.
Yeah.
Even growing up in Belleville, I barely knew any business owners. Everyone worked for some. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Right.
But same to you, shout out to my roommate's dad, Marty Heiser. He was the first one because I worked for him as a painting project manager over in Westchester County in New
Okay.
York. He was the first one to actually talk about entrepreneurship. And I never knew. I know my mom did a couple of side gigs and stuff, you know what
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
saying? But I didn't understand it when I was young. I never got sat down and
Right. Right.
known the opportunity, but, I don't take away from that. It's just, yeah, I'm a late bloomer to entrepreneur, but there's so many stories of people who started their businesses at young ages, at dark ages. The only question is when, are you starting now or what? So
Yeah. 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 I
I
mean,
agree
it's
with you whole way. Yeah.
never too late, and I mean, even if your mom was doing the side things, she probably didn't have SOPs, or like all these other things,
I just show up to meetings,
Yeah,
and like sit and watch,
right. Yeah,
but yeah, thank goodness for that though, to show me work ethic, right?
for sure.
So yeah, that's where I
That's
stand.
great. That's so valuable. I mean, you make me think I should try to link you up with my best friend that I told you that was in the military. So he has a painting company now. They do more of government, like big
Yeah.
projects, like down like military bases and stuff. But he's in New Jersey, and his the name of his company is called Sergeant Paint. military owned and
Classy.
dang. Yeah. So I should link you guys up one day. You
Yeah,
know, you
please
got,
do,
yeah,
please
that'd
do.
be great.
Do you know what military? Army,
Y-
Marine?
Yeah. Yeah. He was in the, he was actually in the Coast Guard.
Never mind. Don't even
Yeah. Puddle
connect.
pirate.
Yeah, don't connect us.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. Please
Puddle
do.
pirate. Yeah. They got abused. No, but yeah, he did about 10 years, maybe more. Before he left, he ran the New York City station whatever unit thing. So yeah, he moved up in the ranks, and then he just went into the entrepreneur life because I guess it kept calling him. But yeah, I mean, he's another person that I've learned from who's taken risks, who's made mistakes, who's invested in mentors, who's gone down different rabbit holes, and sometimes we'll chat about business, although we're in totally different industries. It a lot of times can cross over, and like you said, you're learning from other people, which I love that. And I love that this is part of the show, which just because you're a photographer or you're a wedding planner or you're the cigar roller, we can all learn from each other because we're more connected than not. Kind of like that event that you do, you realize you're more connected with people than not. So that's a beautiful thing. So we're getting to kind of the end of our series where we end with a rapid fire round where it's just I ask you a question, you just kind of first thing that comes off the top of the head. It doesn't need to be a long, elaborate answer. So the first one is, what is one detail guests remember most about an event?
One detailed moment that guests remember about the event.
Most about event, yeah, just detail. It hasn't to be a detailed moment. Just one detail guests remember most about an event.
How great it was to spend time with like friends and family that they haven't seen for a while.
Okay. Very true. I see that a lot. A lot of chit chatting. Sometimes I got to tell people, hey, like, we got to take care of this formality. You can talk, you catch up in a minute.
Yeah.
If you weren't in this industry, what career you think you'd be in?
Business wise, I would do like HVAC,
Okay.
plumbing, electricity because
The
everyone
trades.
with trades, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
If I had my, but honestly, I would probably be in the food industry.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah,
Okay.
food
That's a
industry.
tough business too.
Yeah,
Food
yeah, yeah.
industry.
Yeah, if I had to pick businesses, if
Yeah.
I want to make money and just be like charge people $700 just to like unclog your toilet, for an emergency, I'll do that all day,
Yeah. 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 Seriously. The trades. Yeah. My dad was an electrician for 30 years, and
Yeah.
I've had to hire people over the years and that, like the trades are it and nobody's studying them. So that's a good one. What is something that can instantly kill a vibe at an event?
Ooh, negativity.
Yes.
Negative. I always say people ask me what's your favorite cigar, right? And I'm like, I like to say what the Italians say, whatever's in front of me, right? Great cigar. But the thing that separates that is the people I'm smoking with. I would rather smoke a dollar cigar, right? I would rather smoke a black and mild, you
We
know.
went low.
Yeah, but I started off with black and mild,
I
so
get it. I've tried them.
with good company than a $100 stick with terrible company. Negativity. If people start getting negative or start that vibe starts going away, I'm like, "Ugh, I don't want to be part of this." Yeah.
That hit home, man. That hit home. I love that concept because it is supposed to be a moment of either celebratory or relaxation or decompression. And the people around you that you're sharing this moment with are giving that good energy or, like you
Yeah.
said, negative energy. And
Or you're taking away energy.
yeah,
You're taking away. You're
wow.
you're either a giver or you're taking it away.
Yes.
I don't spend time with people who take away energy, especially as we get older. And Christian, you know it too. I
Yes.
I give energy to those that give energy back. I never give energy to people who just take it. They steal
Wow.
it. Yeah.
I love that, Joey. And some people are draining. Energy drainers. I mean, he probably doesn't listen to this podcast, and I'm not here talking ish. I think I might have told him to his face. I had a barber once who, every time I was in his chair, all he would do was just complain and complain and then complain. And he gave great haircuts, but I stopped going because I was like, this is draining. This energy is like
Yeah,
not good. Like, it was just like, I would go out of there like feeling like, why am I so? It was just a negative. So
what is he doing? He's stealing
wow.
your energy, bro.
Yeah, I
Stealing your
feel
energy.
that.
So
That's
you either
great.
give it or you steal it. That's how I see it. Yeah.
Man, if anybody takes anything from this show, even if it's just one thing, just that could help you personally, that could help you in your business, that could help you in a lot of levels in your life. Joey, what makes a client the right fit for the mobile
Ooh, someone someone that's caring. Because this is why I say this. Most of the people that hire us, they're not smokers. They're thinking about their fiance. They're thinking about their father, their grandfather. So an overall trait, right? They're doing it for a foundation. They're doing it for a birthday, celebratory of life. One key trait that if you had to go out, I can probably name a few. Caring is one of them. They care about that person to get that to get that type of service from us. Type of
It
experience.
it makes so much sense though, because everything you've been talking about is connecting with others, helping others, serving others. And even with that, you're connecting with clients who want to care for others and serve others. So it just makes sense that it's just so ingrained in probably what you do. Joey, where can people find you? Where are you most active? I know I see you on Instagram all the time, but is there anywhere else?
Yeah, yeah. First off, thank you so much for having us on. People could visit our website at www.themobilecigarlounge.com. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, all the major platforms. If you want to shoot me an email, especially if you're an entrepreneur and just starting out, please, my personal email is jdizon, D-I-Z-O-N, at themobilecigarlounge.com. I'd love to connect. And also, if you're looking to book an experience with us, just because you saw us here on the right fit, we'll throw in an additional 20 Nicaraguan premium cigars to any experience that you book with us just because you saw us here on the Right Fit podcast.
Love this. You guys heard it. Take advantage of that. 20, that's worth something. Joey, thank you so much for making the time here for us today at the Right Fit. This for me was an inspirational and learning experience for me, so I hope it was for the listeners out there. And of course, we hope to see you next time on the Right Fit. Don't forget to check us out on all the platforms, YouTube, Spotify, and Apple.
Thank you, brother. Have a good one.